For a long time, the idea of a normal life was pretty clear. A stable job, a decent home, maybe a car, some savings, nothing extravagant, just a comfortable middle-class life. But for many people today, that life feels harder and harder to reach. Even people with good jobs and steady income often say the same thing. They feel like they're working constantly, just to stay in the same place. So, what changed? Why does being middle class feel so much harder today than it used to? The biggest shift didn't come from luxury spending. It came from the basics: housing, healthcare, education, childcare. These are the things that form the foundation of middle-class life. And over the last few decades, many of them have become dramatically more expensive. In many cities, housing alone now consumes a huge share of household income. What used to be a manageable monthly cost has become the single largest financial pressure for millions of people. And once housing absorbs that much income, everything else becomes harder. At the same time, incomes haven't kept pace with those rising costs. Wages have grown in many sectors, but not nearly as fast as the things people need to live. This creates a subtle but powerful shift. People may technically earn more money than previous generations, but their purchasing power often feels smaller because a larger portion of their income is already committed before they even receive their paycheck. Rent, insurance, loan payments, utilities, and once those fixed costs are paid, the remaining margin becomes surprisingly small. This is one of the biggest changes in modern financial life. Middle-class households today often carry far more fixed monthly commitments: mortgage or rent, car payments, student loans, subscriptions, insurance. These aren't optional expenses. They're obligations. And the more of them you have, the less flexibility your finances have, which means even small financial shocks can create serious stress. A medical bill, a rent increase, a car repair. Suddenly, the entire system feels fragile. What makes this especially confusing is that, on the surface, everything can still look normal. People are working. Paychecks are coming in. The economy might even appear strong. But underneath that surface stability, many households are operating with extremely thin margins. They're not necessarily poor, but they're also not financially secure. They're constantly balancing income and expenses, trying to keep everything running smoothly. And when the gap between those two gets smaller, the middle class starts to feel like it's slowly being squeezed. The middle class hasn't disappeared, but the conditions that once made middle-class life stable have changed. Higher fixed costs, more financial obligations, and systems that quietly absorb more of people's income, which means that for many households today, the goal isn't getting rich. It's simply maintaining a life that used to feel normal. And that's why being middle class today can sometimes feel less like stability and more like a constant balancing act.